previously uninspired initiative. The motley hue left Aeon Zathriel's estate in search of evidence to expose Calorus' corruption. While planning their next move, Rhukkarrak planned to disguise himself to meet with Gronk, but the party paused at the Flamin' Flagon for a break. There, Rhukkarrak was met by Vaylin Shadowthorn, who requested a meeting at the docks. Meanwhile, Gronk arrived briefly to share crucial news, a letter he found in Calorus' residence, bearing a darkened sun symbol. The letter ominously stated that if the council failed to act, others would take matters into their own hands. Gronk, unsure of the implications and wary of drawing suspicion, left quickly. The party, desperate for answers, decided to meet with Vaylin at the Drifting Hull. The enigmatic figure revealed that the recent attack on the Citadel was a calculated move to awaken the council to the threat of the Khazdurim, noting the secret dealings within their camp. Vaylin then cautioned against openly accusing Calorith. Tensions flared within the party as strong arguments were exchanged, leading to a temporary split for the night. By morning, they regrouped and prepared for the council meeting at the Frostfire Citadel. Now, with the fate of the Khazdurim and their own credibility hanging in the balance, will the Motley Hues sway the council or be dismissed as conspirators? Find out in tonight's chapter of Inspired Initiative. As you all step into this elegant, luxurious chamber of the Frostfire Citadel, you note the 5 council members staring back towards you. Each step you take reverberates on the marble floor. With the grandiose entrance here, you almost feel like the whole of Elendor has eyes on you at this time. And it's a little foreboding. But the beauty is exquisite. The masterful work of a large stained glass window of Alamor, shining light through, reflects the colors all throughout the chamber here. As the doors close behind you, the reality of the situation starts to take place as you all nervously kind of look towards the head of the council in this moment. As the central figure who is sitting in the very middle of this almost half circle table looks towards you all, this feminine form with incredibly elegant, noble robes and even a circlet placed upon her head, and speaks out to you.
Welcome. It is an honor to have you. Please, come forth.
You all start to make a few other steps, noticing the several different braziers that are constantly aflame, flickering these magnificent fires that illuminate the room. The figure then speaks up again.
We have been told that you all have played quite the part in the last disturbances within the city. He then motions towards Calorith, the Windcaller, who is currently seated, looking at you all as well. Not super distastefully, but a little bit more of a scowl on his face. Who gives a nod back to this central figure.
That is correct. You all were first-hand at last night's incursion. And we all are very desperate to hear exactly your point of view.
As then Dagon, the chapter master, kind of speaks up.
You all stood very bravely. Please, tell us what you know.
Asja, throughout all of this is, sorry, go ahead.
No. You start first.
Well, you were speaking. Go ahead, because I was just going to do an action, so go ahead.
Okay. Well, we were enjoying ourselves at the temple and this theme, and we saw some shady figures coming out of the water, and we went to investigate. And he'll just kind of like look around at the rest of the party, like, I'm I'm not very good at this. And if no one does anything, he'll continue.
Well, Asja, at this point, I will continue with mine now. Asja, at this point, while there is the nervousness and she's noticed the council and everything like that, what really has her attention behind the council would be the giant stained glass window of Alamor. And she is going to kind of reach a hand up and slide Rupert off of her head, and just kind of, Euan will feel her putting Rupert onto his shoulder as she just kind of walks forward. From Asja, you usually get a sense of her aura being a little bit more powerful than most people's, but you always get a sense of calm and love, except for when the party's yelling at each other. You generally get a sense of calm and love from her and stuff like that. But as she seems to walk into this sunlight that is casting through the stained glass window of Alamor herself, that feeling seems to grow in intensity. And you see her doing a very minor hand movements and stuff like that as her eyes don't unlock from Alamor's image around her head. So for those that know spells, she is using prestidigitation. I hate the name of that spell. And around her head seems to almost be a halo of aurora borealis or northern lights that seem to start to appear. And as they are there for just brief seconds, they fade back down into a chain circlet almost of her own that goes in through her hair. And in the center, there is a small round token almost that hangs in the center. And you guys have seen the symbol before. She's drawn it around herself when she's doing her ritual magic. So there's the 6 symbols. There's 6 color symbols for the different elements and stuff like that. But in the center, instead of herself, there's a symbol that none of you would recognize. And then on her forehead, almost in a golden, appears this symbol of Alamor as she just, at that moment when her head raises, her entire body raises up to her full height. And it's almost as if you feel a wave of just palpable energy coming off of her, of just love protection, leadership, power, all of these different things just wash off of her as her skin almost seems to alight more with this life energy that she already exudes. And she just looks up, and her eyes now, instead of childlike mischievousness, display this almost ageless wisdom within her as she looks over the council. As Rhukkarrak already stated, we went to the temple to see your sights while the city was quiet, as you know that we are all new here. Boat races, well, I'm sure entertaining. For those of us that don't come from places with boats, we took it as a time to look at your city in the quiet. We were at the temple when my friend Euan and I had stepped outside, and we noticed movement within the canals coming up towards your citadel. At that point, we noticed a large group of people emerging from the waters and moving towards the side of your citadel. We decided we would look into it just due to the nature of everything else that we had run into in the past few days. We did not think that we would run into too much, as it was the Storm Warden's domain they were heading towards. We did not mean to step on any toes if we did. We are sorry. But when we did get there, there were probably 20, maybe a few more people. We did engage them when we saw that there was no guards there to stop them from what seemed to be wanting to get into the citadel. They were not using the doors. They were having people climb up walls, much like spiders would do. We did engage them, and we found that a lot of their forces were illusionary magic. They were not real. So the forces they brought were there to make someone think that there was a much larger band attacking. We were able to engage a few of them, but their abilities were much stronger than ours, so we were overwhelmed before we could possibly stop all of them. And that's when the honored council member, Calorith, was able to come and stop the last two from truly doing any damages.
Calorith kind of gives you a nod as the other council members just kind of nod. Go ahead and roll a persuasion check for me at advantage.
Okay. I hope I'm rolling the right advantage here. It showed up, yay. 22.
22, okay. You all see them kind of start to nod and take in what you just spoke of. As Calorith then comes back. It was quite discerning that they were able to get so close. We are very grateful to you all that you were able to be there. We had our eyes on the exterior of the city and guarding it from the Castor. We weren't aware that they had other means of access. And this brings up more of my point that I've already talked to you all, as he kind of shifts his speaking to you guys directly to more of the council members now. The Castor are quite the threat, as not if the Tidefin incursion prove that, this certainly does. And the heavy use of illusory magic deters any want of casual traitors on our doorstep. This was an act of war, and we must see it as such. The other council members kind of start to nod. Some of them kind of look a little hesitant on the stronger accusations from him. As The other feminine form sitting next to the main head, the elderly figure you met in the steam temple on the previous day, kind of pipes up.
It is very concerning. I will give you that, Calorith. Treating it as an act of war, though, would only further ignite the so-dyed ember from the Ember War. We must not rush into things too quickly. Violence is rarely the absolute answer.
If I may speak just for a moment.
And kind of look back
Yes.
towards you.
I met you, and she's now faced to the old woman. I met you in the temple. I assume that you have something to do with more spiritual things within this city, correct?
He gives a little warm smile and nods towards you.
The one I serve. I think you might understand this, the rest will not. The one that I serve. There are rumblings. Something is happening. Even he, as one of the great celestial protectors of Alamor, is afraid that he will not have the reach that he needs to protect people. You are right. Something is coming, and let's hope it's not war. I do agree with Calorith that you should not let the Khazdurim in. But I do not agree that this is war. Not yet. Now is a great time of diplomacy. One misstep, and it can be war. But I do agree with Calorith. Do not let them in. Your city will be in danger.
Calorith kind of pipes up at this.
I think it's well past letting them in, if I do say. And I do believe it is well past diplomacy as well. Last night was an act of war. They struck at the heart of our city. They struck to get our primal ember, as they have done several times before. Do you not all remember how many of the kingdom or the dominion's cities fell? How the war began? We cannot look so lightly on this.
Rhukkarrak just kind of, after Asja's last statement, kind of glares at her a little bit and defiantly back at the wave caller, or
Wind caller.
the guy who was just speaking. And he's just going to... We were not able to confirm any Khazdurim in the incursion last night. All the Khazdurim that we saw were illusion. The only actual people we were able to confirm were Elven.
Kind of looks back at you with like a heavy scowl on his face, looking at you like very intimidatingly.
And yet I slayed one with my own hands at the top of this spire.
I don't know what you were able to confirm, but we were not. And then he'll just kind of sit back a little bit.
Point Aeon kind of beats up.
It is quite concerning that Khazdurim were working with elves as well, if that was to be the case. What else have you learned from this elf that was captured, Calorith?
As Calorith kind of looks towards him.
We are currently debunking this individual. They have quite the sealed tongue. We have all methods. We will gain truth from them sooner than later. However, I press the issue of urgency here. We cannot wait.
As Dagon pipes up.
It's all very concerning. don't know exactly how we should proceed here. He looks towards you all now. You all were able to go and meet with these individuals, right? You said that there were children among them. He kind of looks for her and nods to you. We all know that
does not mean that there aren't bad seeds in among the about 30 Kazdurim that are on that beach.
Exactly. We all know the Kazdurim are quite the absence of emotion sometimes. But I find it very hard to believe that they would bring their own children to such a event. Calderth kind of pipes back up. When you saw these children, did you interact with them, or did you see them from a distance? We already know that they were using illusion magic quite heavily. Who says that this whole thing was not deceit?
My suggestion then, Gallerith, before you decide to do what you want to do, another thing that I wanted to say is, if you have not been out there soon, well, my people don't belong to the Sunspire Dominion anymore. I do apologize. We've lost faith in all of you. We still hold true to at least one of your laws, which is to give safe shelter when the harsh comes. If you do not want diplomacy, I would suggest you make your decisions quickly and send them on their way. Or you will have to hurt them based on your own laws that you follow. As for the beach, Euan, your want for trade with these people has kept them here. Why have you not gone to the beach to trade with them? Your people could have looked into this as well, could they not?
Well, you see, it was kind of forbidden. We as a council agreed that we best ask the main council in Voltari first, before we took any other steps, even though I did not quite agree. And I do think that there is quite the lucrative opportunity for myself as well as the city in their trades. However, I'm not a fool. I do realize that it is quite the pressing danger as well.
Well, then the smart thing to do would perhaps have gone out to figure out how to go out and trade with them, sent them on their way, and brought back goods, and from there tried to convince people of the city of the value of opening up your gates to the Kazdurim for trade. Unfortunately, they are now just sitting on beach, getting bored, with nothing to do. Of course, the loose ends that might be in their group are finding things to do. As for you, Gallerith, the children were real. They were very real.
Go
As
ahead
for
and make
actually being
another
able
persuasion check with that.
to get in. All right.
You've got this.
I know, and I have an inspiration if I need to. All right. I have an inspiration if I need to. I'm using the inspiration. I'm sorry. This one I'm gonna.
Alrighty.
Well,
Better
let's
reroll.
go.
Persuasion. Come on, please be better than the last one. It was better than the
That
last
is
one.
better.
16. I'll take that.
16's
I'll take
not
the
bad.
16. Yeah.
You do see a hint of, like, interesting, almost cross Calor's face. Like, he was pretty firmly believed that they were illusory, or they didn't actually exist, but maybe you convinced him, at least to think that it might not be the case.
My suggestion to you all, at least for now, as someone from one of your, she looks back at Calorth, cities that was once destroyed 80 years ago completely, would be to walk this very carefully. Yes, the Kazdurim seem to be able to use boats, but if they are going to bring army down to Elendor, they will march them. And they will take every city along the way as well. Is that something you are willing to risk? Is the fate of every city on the way to Elendor? My suggestion would be we take a group of people out to the beach. Calarith, you and your men can very carefully ascertain what's going on out there. Aeon, you can do the trading. Under a guise, we go out there of Aeon trading. Tell them they are not welcome, and send them away before you will need to harbor them for the harsh. Then that way, you can take the next few seasons before they show up again, to either prepare your city for battle, because I don't know how many of you have fought the Khazdurim, but they don't come to your front door. They come from
As
underground.
last night proved. And I fear that we are not able to just send them freely on their way. If there are spies amidst them like we think, and like we can assume as to the incursions, we would just be giving them valuable information that they have now stolen from us.
Perhaps there is a way. Calarith, much like your great defenses of the wall, when we came back in with the Leviathan hunters, we were thoroughly checked by one of your storm wardens. You seem to have great powers in being able to, much like myself, see into one's life energy and see whether they are a good person or not a good person. Perhaps we could use this. And then one of your detectives as well has a power. He creates this zone around where no one can speak lies. Perhaps we can use this to weed out the bad. We don't allow the bad to return. That way, thereby sending message with those innocent out there back to the Khazdurim that you are willing to consider trade as long as it is friendly trade, but that any spies or things like that will be seen as an act of aggression and possibly an act of war. You will want to prepare yourself for war. I am not the expert of the conflict here. That would be my friend Maldorwen and my friend Euan. They know more about these things than I do.
As the central...
I do hope you will consider not starting a war again.
As the central figure kind of sits up straighter to garner more attention here, she looks out towards Maldorwen. You are a Katuzi, no? Our people in the Sunspire have worked quite diligently with your people the past many, many years. You've been quite the ally in the Ember War, and even prior to that. What are your thoughts on this? Being so closely tied to the conflict.
Kertas is your humble ally, council members. I am but one. And I am here precisely because the conflict has guided me here. There is no other reason. We may pretend to know the ways that it goes. We may want to read the signs and make the right choices for ourselves. But Terraden has arisen in the sky today as a new month dawns, and as Ember Vale approaches, perhaps the cinders of the war will start again. It is not for us to know. But as Asja said, there is much that weighs in your decision. I just ask that you consider it with the gravity that it deserves. What do you value more? The gold that you might get from them? Or the many, many things that you may lose?
She kind of gives a nod back. I do believe that there is a solution here that does not require outright bloodshed. Kind of glares at Calorth a bit, who kind of smirks back, sits further back in his chair. However, it is my duty and our duty, motioning to the rest of the council members, to protect this city and its people up front. We cannot allow whatever occurred last night to occur again. He kind of looks towards Asja. I think there is wisdom in your words. Calorth, are you able to do as this one suggests? Discern the truth from the lies. Kind of begrudgingly.
It can be done, yes.
Then I propose that will be our solution. You all have met with these Khazdurim, and stand for them in this case, in a sense. I do agree with you in the fact that I do not want to reignite the Ember War. Would you all be willing to voyage out there and meet with these Khazdurim, alongside, motions to Calorth, the Windcaller, and any abled men he is able to take with him for this purpose? You are to root out any of this corruption and discern who is, well, just a humble trader. I still do not believe we can allow them to enter the city. That is well past what they are wanted at this point. However, justice needs to be taken for what happened last night. We are to find those that plotted this scheme, if there are any left, remove them from the situation, and tell the rest to leave. Kind of looks towards the other council members who are like nodding. Kind of looks towards you all now too.
Asja will look behind her and kind of like one by one kind of meet the eyes of everybody else and give a small nod or a shake of head to kind of get indication from them what they think.
Euan will respond with a soft nod.
Yeah, encouraging nod from Maldorwen.
She'll look at Ruka.
Rhukkarrak is trying to hold back his emotions, and he'll just give a nod.
We will agree to this, but I mean no offense by this. Windcaller Calorth, you are a very well-respected and honorable person. But, council member, I do not mean to be rude again. How do we force strangers to your city? Ensure that the bloodshed that you spoke of might not happen. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be anything, but I don't know you, Calorth. I don't know your tempers and anything like that. And I know sometimes when people get around stuff that they really don't like, they, much like myself, don't act like themselves. So do we have an assurance, though, that no undue aggressions or violence will happen while we are out there? Unless they attack us first, and then at that point I will very happily take any Storm Wardens protecting me. But
Calorth kind of looks at you with a stern look.
You question my honor.
I
will
questioning your
not
honor.
disobey what has been said here. As Dagon kind of speaks up.
It will be
assured. I understand the worry, but Calareth is good for his word.
Any of you, I'm sorry. And it's been very overwhelming for us. We've only been in your city for 5 days, and it's been overwhelming for us because we thought we were doing good to help when the downward sentinels came, but then every step we seem to take takes steps on other people's toes that have been getting maybe a little upset with us, and we didn't mean to. We're only trying to help.
Your help has been very appreciated. We all have been in scrambles, if you would, from this recent Khazad-dûm breach, if you would. Calareth would be good for his word.
As I said, I did not mean any insult to you, Calareth. I know from speaking to people and hearing people speak of you, you are very honored and very well respected, and I'm sorry if my words stung. That was not my intention. I just want to make sure that of our safety as well. That was all. I'm sorry.
He kind of just looks away, sits back down, or further into eat.
And in Asja's mind, wow, for adult, petulant child comes to mind. When do you wish us to go then?
I believe urgency, as Calareth does say, is of the utmost importance. As soon as you are ready. Preferably within an hour.
I think that's enough time to get another breakfast, right? She kind of whispers behind her, kind of loudly. Obviously, it's a council chamber, so there's probably some sort of echoing. So she's, that's enough time to get second breakfast, right?
If we eat quickly.
We can eat quickly. 1 hour at the docks. I assume we will be taking an official ship. What section of the docks do we meet you at? We've only been to the section where the Leviathan hunters leave from. So, if we could get directions to the proper place to meet you, we will be there within an hour, if not just a few minutes after.
Calareth kind of pipes up. Down the south, there is bastions of Stormwarden vessels. We will meet you there.
It will be an honor. Thank you.
As they kind of start talking a little bit amongst themselves, but not super loud to the point where you can't really hear what's going on, just a bit more debating and whatnot. As the doors then swing back open, as one of the servants almost kind of motions you guys to...
Rhukkarrak falls.
Can I sense Rhukkarrak being a bit uneasy?
Go ahead and roll an insight check. I don't think
Sure.
the DC will be super high.
No.
19.
Yeah, I'd say you...
Yeah, you can tell that as the conversation went along, he's kind of calmed down a little bit, but at the very beginning, he seemed really, really agitated with the way it was going. And pretty much every interaction with Calareth was just really frustrating him. But right now he's more resolved than frustrated, but there's still a little bit of frustration left.
Okay. So Maldorwen will kind of move closer to Rhukkarrak and say, Rhukkarrak, brother. Sometimes, well, most of the time, things are not really under our control. And I know you want to do good by them. Protect the people you think are innocent. If they are, now we will find out.
I do not. My frustration mostly, I, again, do not know. They are still people. I don't know if they are good or bad. With the admittedly small interaction that I had with them. But just the way that everyone seemed to automatically paint them as criminals was frustrating. This is more of guilty until proven innocent.
Politics tends to be that way. I'm sorry it made you feel frustrated, but I guess what I'm saying is we have the chance to maybe prove them wrong by focusing on the task at hand.
Well, if that is the way that politics are, then I want nothing to do with them in the future.
You and me both. Euan kind of pipes up a little bit and kind of reaches out for a second to put a hand on Rhukkar's shoulder and stops, remembering he doesn't like to be touched. Puts his hand back down. I don't like it either, but this is the easiest way to prevent unnecessary bloodshed, even if it doesn't feel great.
No, I am more than happy to go out there again. I am glad that we are going out there and checking again, because again, I was admittedly blinded a little bit by my own interactions with them. I don't know why they would have come all the way down here, and so I was only looking for good. I was not being as cautious as I probably should have been. So I'm very, very glad that we are going out there and getting a closer look. It's just, as Asja pointed out, it would have been nice if we brought people that had more interest than just rooting out evil. At least bringing some people to trade and at least reward them for any people who did come down here to actually be merchants.
The council didn't seem to be very eager to let anyone in. That was very clear, I think. But yes, Asja, that was very impressive. In Kertas we say that a sharp tongue can cut deeper than a sword.
Well, back in Kurasata, we don't use swords very often. And when you want to get your own way, you learn how to use your words. At least for now, and her voice drops even lower. At least for now, we have no enemies on our side. Calorth is still a little upset like child, but that's okay. But at least now we have bought ourselves months that we can look for this evidence. So if we do want to bring things to light, we have time. She smiles and walks out the door, like continues walking, just moves ahead of everybody and stuff like that with this kind of mischievous little cheeky smile on her face.
Euan will smirk and reach up and scratch Rupert's head, who I assume is still on his shoulder.
Oh yeah, he's still there.
Yeah. Just smiles as you're sketching his head.
And by the way, Rhukka, The reward is that by finding the ones who may have ill intent within the group of traders that have come down, if their reaction is just as surprised as everyone else, that still opens the door to a potential trading agreement in the future. It's still a positive, it just might take some time.
But we have potential. If they are being deceiving and devious, then they deserve whatever they get. But if they were merchants coming out here with their livelihood, trying to make money to bring home to their families, and we are sending them home with nothing, it could be devastating with all the time that they've been sitting on that beach for whatever amount of time that they've been doing it.
We have some gold. You know I don't really care for that thing. I could give you back the gold that we earned, and you can buy some nice stuff from them, I guess. Is there something you want to buy from them that you really, really want, and that's why you're so determined to have them trade with the city?
No, I'm sure that there are many of their wares that would be good for people in this town, but I don't know. Maybe we do buy some things and then just sell it here as exotic Khazdurim wares. I don't know.
I've heard that Khazdurim metal is lighter than regular metal. I wouldn't mind having my helmet made out of a lighter material. Perhaps my crossbow? Even my rapier.
Does your helmet even come off?
Good question.
It might be a little bit difficult to convert it to a lighter metal if they... Well, anyway. That's something else.
I do want to say, I understand your frustrations and your feelings in this are warranted. I understand where you're coming from. When it comes to politics, things that I try not to care about very much, there tends to be a little more nuance than, tends to exist more in grey areas, we'll say, than in black and white. Should be a lot easier in a lot of ways. But your feelings are valid, and I understand where they're coming from. And this is a step towards possibly achieving that, just not right now.
I suggest we eat down by the docks. I'm sure there are vendors for food down there, and then we're not late. Also, Rhukka, much like everything, I'm pretty sure they knew the risk when they came down here, that there was a chance it wouldn't get very far. Unfortunately...
I don't know what was promised, what brought them here, what was said, but you're right.
I think what
Maybe
brought them
here...
I think what brought them here was they think that it has been long enough for wounds to heal. But not everyone's wounds have healed. There are still a lot of people in this city who hold undue hatreds towards people. Some things, though, are valid. And it's not really a hatred, it's a pain. A pain of what was lost or taken from them. And they don't know how to heal it, aside from feeling anger and... If Elendor opened their doors to the Khazdurim, they would not only have to think about their own protections against possible bad seeds in the Khazdurim, they would also have to spend a lot of resources to protect the Khazdurim. Because if they did not protect the Khazdurim from those people who have this anger within them, this lust to get revenge, then it does not matter what they do. the war will start again.
Yes, and I do not judge harshly a city that wants to protect themselves by turning away a potential threat. But making them sit out there for, I don't know, it seems like it's been weeks
Oh,
in indecision.
that is the main city politics. That is very big
They should
headaches.
either immediately turn them away and let them know that Khazdurim are just not welcome, or they should be cautious and just trade with them far out or something. I don't know.
If you want to be courteous with them, perhaps we can go to the Flame and Flagon and buy a barrel of Cinder Ale or something like that. I don't think they would have tasted it, probably.
I think they would really like the hot sauce. Don't you think they would like the hot sauce? Marley's hot sauce. Oh,
I think everyone would like the hot sauce.
right? It's good taste of representing the South.
I don't know how adventurous these Khazdurim will be. I know that
Oh, if there is something that I know about Khazdurim is that they love a good drink. Yes.
Yes, they definitely do. But
And maybe they are adventurous. I mean, they did when they came down for war. They did come down to specific areas with lots of good, rich trade and foods and stuff like that. So, maybe they are adventurous. Maybe the reason they come back is for the hot sauce. I bet you somewhere up north there's a bunch of Khazdurim who really like the hot sauce. And that's why they're coming back down. They want the hot sauce. She's smiling the whole time. I'm being smart ass, Ruka.
You could be right. There some people have interesting tastes. And maybe they came down here to get spices and more exotic flavorings. I don't know. It could be. But
yes, I also want to see Lennon if we can go to the Flame and Flagon rather than going to the docks, as you said, Asja. If you don't mind, guys. I can pay for the ferry.
As long as we can see if the smoked crab guy is still down there by the docks.
Oh, the smoked... Hey, if I can buy some extra sticks, maybe I can get Calorith to eat one and maybe he will be in a little bit better mood. Good food always makes good moods.
The food at the docks we can get to go, I think.
Yes.
Oh, right.
I mean, if you're trying to share the food, we should probably get it on the way back so it's nice and fresh.
Well, no, we'll go to Flame and Flagon.
Twice.
We'll go to the Flame and Flagon. Yeah, we stop by twice is good too. When I get nervous, I get very hungry. So I'm very empty, even though I had breakfast this morning. That's why, and they're, as this conversation's happening, I'm assuming we're hailing a gondola.
Yeah,
we're getting in.
Where have you guys been heading?
I believe we were heading to the Flame
The
and
Flame and
Flagon, because
Flagon?
that's where Maldorwen has requested that we go to, and everybody's like, sure. I was just like, I can get food there, I don't care.
Alright, so we'll say...
I'm paying for the Uber this time. How much is it?
This conversation has primarily been taken just right outside the Frostfire Citadel as you guys are walking along the canal and whatnot, just discussing your next steps. You then start to look for a ferryman to then take you back to the Flame and Flagon. However, before you do so, you do hear someone trudging up to meet you all.
Oh no.
Glad I caught you before you go off to whatever you're doing. We had a little more discussion in there. He kind of looks towards you, Asja. I understand your concerns, especially with what we spoke with last night. I was able to convince them that the captain could join you guys in this venture. So I'm going to go head over to tell her to get ready for this as well. Unfortunately, I have other business to tend to. But at least you have one other individual who will keep Calorith at check. I can't imagine that he would go against the council's wishes, but you are right in his anger.
I would only feel this way because last night my own anger boiled over and I did things that I have never done before. It was just a worry that came to my heart.
kind of gives an eye.
And it seems like a lot of people want to make us look responsible for this in some way. So, I just want to make sure, no offense.
None taken by me. I'm sure his feelings are a little hurt. But
I will try and
regardless,
soothe them.
good luck out
me
there.
Who insulted.
And you will all do this. I did speak with them as well as rewards. I believe it's very due that you guys get some recompense of whatever you all seek. Are you out here trying to earn gold?
No. We don't use
Just-
gold where I'm from.
Well, think
Just
about...
trying to get knowledge and experience. So
I see.
gold is necessary in order to live, but
Well, if you all do this, and it goes well, you'll have some powerful allies that can definitely help you with your whatever goals you're looking for. So, good luck, and hope to hear all back from you soon. Gonna go over
One
to
of
the
those really fast boats would be nice.
kind of thinks to himself for a minute. Might have a few strings. I don't know. We'll think about it. That's all.
Can we put racing stripes in it?
Speak about racing stripes. We only have little time, and my stomach is really rumbly. I need to go eat now, please. I did say we would be there in an hour, and maybe the fact that Calorith is not in the best mood means we should not be late, or at least too late. I did say an hour, maybe a few minutes later, but... Whoops. I will make sure his feelings are placated. Don't worry. I will stick very close to him and make sure that he does not have chance to do anything.
As
Can you
you...
be
please
nice
do
to
that
have the
thing
captain
where
with
you
us.
make people really clean for me, please? Before we see a captain?
Oh, most certainly. No problems. Now we can do prestidigitation. She just like da da da. All the wrinkles in your clothes go away. The feathers, like there might have been one little tiny like thing starting to bend. It goes back to perfect. She's like takes your chin, kind of moves you back and forth. Reaches her thumb up, dips it on her tongue, and just takes that one last little bit of spot that just didn't go away. There we go. Now you are most handsome Carthusian gnome ever. Well, actually, you're the only gnome I have ever met. Then I think you're handsome, so you are most handsome gnome ever.
Asja, please remember, I'm gonna meet the captain later.
I know. I am trying to boost your ego, because you are. You should have confidence. You can do this.
Okay.
You and Captain,
Yes.
very good together. Let's go. Food.
As Ferryman is called, you guys go to the Flame Flag, and it's not long. They're relatively close in comparison to the whole city. You sit down, have a nice bite to eat, before Lennon kind of, I guess, yeah. Lennon kind of calls out to you, oh, back so soon.
Food.
we're just
on the
here to
quick.
pick up a few things, some food.
Dude, it is. You just had breakfast, like, you know, I'm on it. Goes and starts to tell the chef to prepare some more food. You all sit down. A few minutes later, food is brought out. And then you're all kind of busy. Quite the appetite.
Oh, I think the food was mostly for.
It's for
Oh.
me. This is normal. Can I have plate, please?
Kind of slides you. Alright, well, if you need anything more food and whatnot, just let me know.
Lenin,
Yes?
can we ask you a question quickly? Just, you are somebody who knows this city quite well. Just for 2 seconds, could you sit for just 2 small, quick seconds so I can ask you a question?
Absolutely, I'm here.
What are your... How much do you... As a person of your city who is not like a big... Not saying that... I'm not trying to be rude. You're not VIP, important, you know what I mean, council person or ruler or something like that. What is your view on the council people? Especially, perhaps say, I don't know, Aeon and Caloris?
Oh,
And then
well,
there are two others, a very high elfin woman. We never got her name. We had to meet council this morning, but they did not really introduce themselves very well. We don't know all of their names. We're not from here.
right.
So,
The High Counselor is Celestra. And my thoughts on them? I mean, I don't do a whole lot of interaction with them. I don't think I've personally met, well, many of them. I've met Dagon a couple of times. But they seem to do their job as I do mine. And the city is relatively safe. I've been hearing some rumors about what happened last night, though. It's quite concerning. Why?
oh no, we don't know them very well, but in about 45 minutes we have to get on boat with Calorith, and my stomach feels very butterfly, and I just wanted to know if you had heard any, you know, maybe what kind of person they are, or maybe there was like, oh, well, in the city, you know, people generally don't talk to this person, or they try not to get on bad side because they have hairpin trick. You know, I just don't want to upset him more than I think I already have.
I definitely think Calorith is one of those individuals you do not want to upset. He's quite stern. He has lots on his shoulders, from what I've been told. I mean, he is the main one in charge of kind of protecting the whole city and all that. So yet, not get on his bad side? Oh, I do not know, personally, no.
Oh.
I'm not sure. I mean, he's got quite the age to him. But I'm not sure.
Okay, as I said, I think if he's got quite the age on him, I think my youthfulness may have upset him a little. I'm just trying to get myself out of the fire. Thank you, though, Lennon.
Yes.
I appreciate it.
I definitely know that he does appreciate respect. And so, there's a two-way street on that. But, yes.
Thank you.
Gives a nod and turns back to go do his other duties.
As he walks away, I figured I'd ask. Maybe there were rumors about the council members that we hadn't heard yet, but it is good to know that lead woman is called Celestra. We never did get their names. The woman from the temple and then the other new woman. They never introduced themselves. Eggs are great. She just starts eating.
Maldorwen, are you going to get your barrel of Cinderella? Do you want some help?
What, me? That was just a suggestion if you wanted to trade with them. I don't know.
Oh, I misunderstood. Sorry.
No, I'm not gonna offer gifts to the Khazdurim. I just want to make sure they're not up to anything too shady.
Well, I think it might have been a good plan. Let me go see how much a barrel costs, and he'll go find Lennon.
Kind of looks at you. More food?
Oh no. I was wondering if it is possible to purchase an entire barrel of Cinderella.
Oh, barrel. Yeah, that is possible. Quite the stock.
How much would that be?
Let's see. Barrel. We'll give you a bit of a discount on the bulk buy, if you will. Let's call it like 4 gold.
4 gold. Yes, I think that would work. Here you go. He's gonna go and get his gold.
Hand it over. Must be having a party. Kind of goes to the back and starts rolling out. Not a huge barrel, but a decently sized. Definitely several drinks worth of Cinder Ale. And be careful where you store it if it gets too hot. It can be a little bit volatile.
Thank you for the warning. I will be careful. Thank you. And he's gonna go back to the party. Rolling the barrel. Now, when we're talking about the size of this barrel,
It's not a huge barrel. It's like you could probably carry it. It would be pretty hefty to carry, but it's not like a big barrel. It probably has like 10 to 20 flagons worth of ale in it.
okay.
Like a keg?
I mean, that's
Yeah,
good.
it's
He's-
more of a keg than a barrel.
Yeah, it's a keg. Okay. He's not particularly strong, so if Lennon's rolling it, he's rolling it.
Would you like me to carry that?
If you don't mind, I would appreciate that.
Euan will heft it up and carry it over to the table while they eat. And be ready to carry it down to the docks when they leave.
All right. Is there anything else you all would like to do before you start to head out?
Not
I
for me.
think Mal wanted to talk to Lennon, didn't he?
Yeah. I wanted to go over to Lennon and pay him for the night, the couple nights that I've spent here without paying. It was 2 gold per night, right?
I believe it was 2 silver. And then it was...
Okay.
That wasn't a full gold per night.
Okay. So he's
Easily.
gonna pay, like his room and give him a gold piece as a tip.
Much obliged. I appreciate it. Would you like to pay in advance as well for future stays?
I think I will be moving my things out of the room later tonight, if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hopefully you enjoyed your stay here at the Flaming Flagon. We hope to see you again
Oh,
soon.
yes. I'll probably be here, maybe on occasion, yes.
Wait.
But thank you so much, Lennon.
Question for you. Was everything to your accommodations? We try to be quite accommodating, especially to those of different races.
Yes, it was very good indeed.
Good to know.
The Cinder Ale is something special.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, I think I'll actually have a mug if you don't mind. Can you make it to go? I just put a lid on it. I have a straw.
A lid. We don't quite have to-go cups. You have our flagons that are... If you would like to buy a flagon, you could
here's
do
my
that.
water skin. Here's my water skin, Lennon. You can fill that up, I assume.
All right, we can make this work. Fills your water skin with cinder ale.
Yeah, that lasts me quite a while. And yeah.
All right.
For a second, I thought the gnome was getting more Red Bull. I was a little afraid.
Gotta get those
I already
wings,
have
don't you know?
wings.
Don't you know it gives him wings? Exactly.
Oh yeah, one last thing, Lennon. If Therion comes here, perhaps looking for me, tell them I am at the Tide chapter now.
All right, I can do that.
Thank you.
Just nods as he's polishing another flagon. And with that, you all finish your meal and exit. It's been a decent amount of time to get all the way down to the markets and to where you're supposed to meet Calorith and whoever he's bringing with him. You better get moving. And so, leave the doors and find another ferry to take you down the canals. We'll say it's another, like, 2 silver per to ride the canal all the way down to the markets.
Okay, I'll pay for that. We should do like Uber rotation each session, you know?
What's a session?
Each day, just someone different pays for the water Uber.
Yeah, exactly.
But after a good 25, 30, close to 40 minutes now, on this path, or on this canal, you finally do arrive at the southern portion of the tidal markets. Here, there's large docks that aren't quite as bustling as the actual markets themselves. The ships here look much more daunting than the other ships that are just for trade and voyage. These ships look a little more battle ready, if you would. But the ferryman lets you off. You climb aboard the floating docks there and meet. Similar to the Tempest Bastion that both Euan and Asja entered in, it's still bustling here. Not as much as the markets. The markets are crazy, but it is very much more orderly than anywhere else that you've seen. As with each step from the different storm wardens, and you do see a decent amount of storm wardens manning different positions, getting this ship ready. They all look very deliberate in what they're doing. You all are a little lost as to where to go from here until you do see a familiar face that kind of looks towards you all and waves as Detective Gronk is off in the distance.
Ah, there you guys are. Come on over here.
As you all kind of walk forward towards the actual main gangplank that leads up to the large galleon of a ship. Rock kind of at the base, writing some notes.
So, been debriefed on what we're doing. Got a couple of us wardens here, and you all going out to see the Khazdurim. Figure out who's naughty and who's nice, right?
Yes. He just gives him a weird look, like, that's a weird way to put it.
And I am sure that's your list that you will be making sure to check twice.
Oh, at least 3 times. I'm very thorough.
Good trait to have.
So, how did it go in the meeting, though? Good, bad?
And he lessened his voice a little bit and kind of stepped a little closer.
It was politics.
Right.
The words happened. The words made them think. Now we are here, and... Well, I don't think your boss is still too happy with us, but at the same time, I think he is happy that something is happening. So maybe those two balance each other out.
They are making it sound worse than it was. Alamor was watching over us, and Asja did a very good job, if I must say.
Good to hear. Yes, so
Thank you, Maldorwen.
tensions aren't incredibly high with the big boss guy. Should be good.
Oh, and just so you know, this is a keg of Cinderelle. Just in case it's needed for negotiations.
It's not for you.
Interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say, that probably wouldn't go over well, since it's quite a strict policy that there's no drinking on the job as a storm warden. But
Oh, yeah, no.
You are always on the job.
I know.
Oh, that is such a sad life.
I mean, I'm not always on the job, but it does kind of seem that way sometimes.
But right now, it seems like you were always on job.
And they got us working overtime for a lot of this. Lots of things, especially in my position. Mysteries and all of that.
Well, maybe when this is all cleared up, you can get me that dinner you still owe me from before. How do we get on
Alright.
ship?
All right, this way. He kind of walks up.
One question though, Gronk, before we board, or well, as we board. If you had a favor from the council, what would you ask for?
Oh no, that's a good question.
Don't say a pay raise, okay?
No, I get paid pretty well. No, I might have to get back to you on that one. Quite the powerful
You
thing,
better.
though.
Okay.
Council has quite the sway, as I'm sure you all know.
Yes, well, it's been said that if we do a good job here, that we would have some help with whatever we would need. So, hopefully this goes well.
Quite nice. Having to be thinking on what exactly you want then. They're not gonna probably fulfill all your wishes and dreams, but got quite the power.
Oh, it's understood. Anyway,
as you're standing there now on the boat itself, Gron kind of straightens up in a soldier pose, kind of salutes as Calorith walks up the gangplank, followed by two other Storm Wardens that were walking. Just kind of nods to Gronk and all of you. Are you all ready?
Aye, sir. Euan will strike a smart salute as well, a little awkwardly with the keg of Cinder Ale in his hands. But
He kind of looks down at the keg. I hope that's not going to be used, at least not in the morning here.
I don't intend.
We
I don't
don't.
drink it.
We don't drink.
the Khazdurim usually appreciate a good drink, so I thought it might be a good idea to bring it in case we need it to help smooth over things.
Interesting. Very well. He then kind of motions towards some other of ship workers, starts calling out some orders, like, get some stuff ready. With that, the ship kind of starts to go in motion as everyone tightens the sails. You see this galleon has two main large masts with pretty heavy sails on it. On the upper platform, there's two spots where you see two Storm Wardens channeling spellcraft, getting ready to, what you assume, provide the wind necessary to push this vessel forward. And with that, the anchor is raised, and the winds evaporate as the sails start to billow quite heavily, and the ship lurches into motion. Quicker than the other ship that you were on, as it makes its way out towards the southern gates of Elendor. There's a brief pause at the gates as they kind of open, but then start to sail out into the open waters. Brief moments pass
before from down under, another familiar figure kind of steps up from the hull of the ship.
I see you all made it. I had to rush to get here myself.
It's good to see you again, Captain.
Likewise.
But if
Well-
you don't mind me, my legs don't like to see that well. I'm going to go find a place to sit. I should still be able to hear the conversation. And he'll find a place kind of against the railing where there's not just a gap to fall into the ocean to sit down and lean his back against.
So we are
It is-
to
No, you go ahead. I was just going to
Meet
say it's
with
good
the
to see you
customer.
as well. Yes.
It is a little bit of a boring task. Every time I think about them, I just have memories that are not so right. Sorry, what were you saying?
I'm just a little frustrated with the situation. I don't know if there is anything dastardly or evil happening with the Kazdurum, but everyone seems to assume that it is. And so, I don't know. It seems like this is going to be very hard to find those that are problems and not make everything a problem.
Kind of gives a nod.
Yes, I hope it will go smoother than I'm anticipating as well. We have quite the force. And if what you all said is true, and I do believe you, if they are just primarily traders, I mean, at least when set before such a force, it is very easy to get very defensive.
Yes, exactly. I wish we had been able to come at least under the guise of traders with guards, but the council wanted only the storm wardens out here.
Can you fault them? Breaking right at the Frostfire Citadel. That's I think it is warranted. The longer they wait to do anything, the more time it gives any of these Khazad that aren't looking for interests of trade to further their goals.
Yes, well, I guess we'll see. I'm going to take some time and think about this. You two, you guys have... If you have any interesting strategies, just let me know. I'll just be right over there. And he's not going to really go far. He's just going to take a few steps away and just kind of stare out to the ocean, kind of think to himself.
Well,
I guess if everyone else is preparing themselves mentally for this, I should do the same. I never in my life thought I would actually meet a Khazad.
my experience, it is not a pleasant one, but
Mine either.
Well, we have a few hours before he actually arrives, so...
Azja's gonna reach in her bag and kind of rustle her hand around and pull out another small kind of pouch. Open it up. Anyone hungry? Snack? I get hungry when I'm nervous. She'll just kind of offer it around to the people that are around.
Not this time. Euan looks slightly more green than normal.
I'm quite the opposite when it comes to these things. Thank you, though.
Maldo, you're probably still full from breakfast. I have not. This is second time I have ever been on ship, and this is a larger one. So I am going to go distract myself by not being in the way, but by going and trying to maybe at least take a look at what ship does of this size, and not be in the way and get more yelled at. You two have good conversation. Lots to catch up on. Bye. And she walks away. Kind of giving Maldorwen a little bit of a wink as she goes.
Oh, are you ready to face them again?
Well, it kind of feels like old times. Being in a ship, preparing to face them. Just riding the waves of the waters instead of the wind.
I can imagine that's quite different, though. I've not been on the winds before.
Well, perhaps you can go to Kertar sometime.
Perhaps. I don't know, maybe. I don't know if I would. Being that high up. One misstep and... at least here you can swim.
Well, we gnomes learn how to fall from a very young age. But you did say that you like the wilds, being outside. Being in Kertar pretty much feels like being outside all the time, in a cloud.
I think it's the in the cloud part that worries me a bit. But not knock it until I've tried, I guess. Very
You've
interesting.
never been to Kertar?
No.
By the way, has anyone told you that the symbol of the Dawnward Sentinels looks a bit like a turtle from afar?
Yeah. Like a ganda.
Yes, like a grounter.
I never noticed, no. Quite the interesting perspective.
Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to perhaps make you not as nervous. I'm gonna be here though, so you have nothing to worry about.
No, I don't think we do. I think they have the things to worry about, though.
Yes. I'm actually feeling a lot more safer now that you're here as well. After all, you beat me this morning, and you know, we have to fix that.
Oh, really now? It was quite
Yes.
close.
I don't like close. Well, when it comes to, you know. But I should move my things tonight to the Tide chapter. I'm gonna talk to the others. Perhaps they will want to do the same.
I didn't
I
think
hope
it
that's
is
okay.
in order. If you are wanting to continue this path, being sentinels, there is a lot more work to be done outside of this as well. But this pressing matter is just that pressing.
Okay, so now that I am a sentinel, and he's gonna take out his pin and like put it on the center of his chest piece where the circle is. And he'll say, "There's something I want to ask. I hope you trust me enough to tell me the answer."
What is it?
What are the other sentinels doing? Why is it just you?
I was afraid that would be a question. I don't think I have the liberties to tell you right now. As much as that pains me. I do want to trust you. And I do, but I have given my word that I will not give others this word.
Yes, chain of command and everything. I see. Well, I guess I will just have to work harder.
Perhaps if this all goes well, we can speak to Dagon.
Yes, Dagon would be the one to speak to, I guess. I just was hoping that you were able to tell me. I would rather hear it from you, because I would just rather talk to you.
He kind of looks down a little bit, hesitant, not wanting to say more, but you can see there is a... Like, she does want to, but at the same time, there's the inner conflict of not wanting to break her word either.
Yeah, I'll change the subject, so I'll say, so you've never been to Kertas, you've never played Malvis, right?
No, I don't know what that is. You were talking about it earlier, but nope.
Yes. Well, the boat is a bit too... moves too much to be able to show you, but... I mean, I could talk for hours about it, so if you want to listen to me...
Well, it's something to get my mind off of the nature of our mission, so...
Alright. Why don't we find a sheet or something?
What?
A sheet?
Oh,
Somewhere
seat,
to
yes.
lay down, yes. Sorry, I know my accent is very strong.
Oh, you're good. There's some waters down below.
Alright. And yeah, he'll go on and on and on about Malvis.
As the captain thoroughly gets the explanation of what exactly Malvis is, as the ship lurches forward with the aeromancers guiding its pathway. Is there anything else any of you want to do in this good 2.5, almost 3 hour period that you have traveling towards this beach?
As Asja is kind of walking around, there was a little bit of a secondary thing. Is the wind caller Calorith above deck or below deck? Is he somewhere visible? Like, is he present, I guess is...
You can see that for a little while he was giving out orders, and then he did go into some sort of chamber for a decent amount of time, and then exited and made sure everything was running fine. There would be a time where he would just sit and kind of stare out into the waters, kind of next to the wind. Sit there, waiting.
As he is sitting there, just kind of waiting, and she doesn't feel that she's interrupting him actually doing anything official, she is going to kind of very slowly approach. Excuse me, wind caller? Calorith?
Yes, what is it?
I wanted to say again that I am sorry about my words in the council chamber this morning. I did not mean to disrespect you, sir.
You are new to the city. I understand your hesitancy, but I am not new to the city. I've been protecting it for decades.
I have heard that. But I am sorry, that is all. What are you looking at?
The winds.
You can see the winds?
Well, I mean, can't you? They're right in front of you. The water, how it placates to this vessel. It is quite the stark contrast from now to just half a year in the future. The winds turn quite turbulent, ravage the lands. So now they are calm and are a friend for the time being. Not always the case.
I envy you. I don't see the winds. I see the nature moving. But I see the life. So while you see the waters, I see the life thriving in the waters. Maybe they're the same. I will have to look for the wind.
He needs to stare out to the open expanse. You can briefly see the shore that kind of makes up the horizon line. But at this point, you're well past the vantage point of Elendor.
She's going to just kind of sneakily kind of perch down close to him. She is going to watch out over the railing, much like he is, and try and see the wind, like he's saying. But she's also going to occasionally be kind of glancing over at him and stuff like that. In a bit more of a concentrated manner, like long term, just kind of getting a sense of the feel around him, his movements, his motions. She's trying to get a sense of his life, I guess, would be the easiest way to say it, but not rushing it, just trying to get a sense of who he is before she really tries to deep delve into, all right, I want to look inside and see who you are.
Go ahead and roll an insight check for me.
All right. Eight. Never mind. She's the wind. Wow.
Windy now.
Wait, there's this jumping fish. It's on the wind. Yep. Okay. There. You know that. Nope. She's windy. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You don't get much past the surface, but even with the surface, Kellerith presents himself with very high authority, and you can see the way the other Storm Wardens interact with him and the respect that they give him. And you do feel that that respect has been earned over however long he served and guided these wardens. But it's, you know that there's more underneath the outer shell of that kind of leader, but you're not, kind of evades your thoughts of what could lie underneath.
Mm-hmm. I think as long as she's not shooed away, she will just sit there in silence.
Which,
close, but not like right next to, and just stare out into the ocean, much like he's doing. Trying to see this wind that he's talked about.
which he doesn't sit there for too long. He does take a deep inhale, exhales, and then goes about more duties. Eventually returns back to his quarters.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so while this was happening, Rhukkarrak throughout the time on the ship has been mostly kind of pacing around. Whenever he saw Calrith, he just kind of like follows him with his eyes for a little bit and then continues pacing. And when he sees him leaning and talking to Asja, he'll still be kind of pacing somewhere nearby, and when their conversation dies down, he's gonna just kind of get a little bit of resolve on his face and walk over to Calrith. And he's just gonna kind of address him and just be like, Sir Wave Color.
It's Wind Color. What can I do for you?
Wind Color. I am trying to make sure that I'm not being blinded by my own experiences. And since you are the only one that seems to have seen the Khazdurum in the tower, I was hoping I could get a little bit more detail about what they looked like and what they were doing and how you got rid of them.
I'm not sure why you're so interested in that, but regardless, I'll oblige. I heard word that this breach was happening. I flew in, as I'm sure you saw. There were cloaked figures aiming towards a location. I shall not elaborate, as to protect interests. I did not get a very good look at the Khazdurum themselves, other than their short stature and their bulkier builds, that of which an elf would not be. I then used tools at my disposal to eliminate them. They put up a fight, albeit not as strong. I'm sure they were hoping to not gain an eye of someone like me.
And you said that they were completely incinerated in the end?
For the most part, yes. I mean, I'm sure their corpses were left, but I had people take care of that.
So you did have, because in the fight we were dealing with a lot of illusion, and I am not going to lie, when you said you did not get a good look, it made me skeptical to see if you were potentially led astray yourself. But if you have Khazdurum bodies, then it helps my perspective going into this meeting.
Well, I mean, we don't have the corpses anymore. They were sent off to the sanctuary to be disposed of. The incineration took care of most of any death energy residual, but even the bones themselves can harbor some.
Okay. Thank you. And he will
Where
just
do you hail from?
I come from the far north.
Ah. What brings you to the Sunspire?
I am seeking answers to our problems.
And what problems are those?
We live in caves underground, and there was a somewhat recent war that has made a massive amount of death energy to be trapped in those caves. And I am hoping to travel around the world and find a way to deal with this death energy. We have taken precautions with our dead, but it has never been enough. So I am seeking answers.
Go ahead and just roll a persuasion check for me.
Yeah, it's 12.
We do not get many northerners in the Dominion. It would, be wise not to have such a strong feelings against our enemies. You put suspicion on yourself. How much dealings with the Khazdoram have you had? How do we know you are not a spy?
Well, I have been working as a downward sentinel in my travels. Our ideas align, and it is a good way to make money. But I guess that would probably not be enough for one such as yourself. I don't know if there is anything that I can do to convince you, unless you are willing to look into my history. But I have our city. Well, it's not really a city. My home village would not survive without trading with Khazdoram. And while I have met some very mean-spirited Khazdoram, I have also met many that were just people trying to get by. Actually, most that I have met were just people trying to get by. And while I have not experienced these wars that you all talk about, I have heard of the devastation that they have brought and can understand your cynicism. If these are people that are just trying to get by, I hope that they do not get hurt by potential blindness. That is all.
It is a good hope. I hoped that cities that had a lot of people that were just trying to get by weren't destroyed completely by the Khazdoram. But such things are not true. And rest assured, I will be looking into your background. I hope for your sake that what you say is true.
With that, he kind of motions and leaves. And with that,
and he'll just, I was gonna say, he's just gonna sit there and lean against the railing and just look out to sea, contemplating the conversation.
I'd say, Asja, you would have probably picked up on all of that too.
Oh, yeah. She just stayed quiet. Much like we are going to have to, for now, trust him. He also has to trust you. Two-way street. That was very respectfully done, though. Good job. Unfortunately, for a little while, we are going to... what is that? Very... It's something I used to hear when... a long time ago with some traders that came through. They were going to have to, kiss some ass. I think that's what we're going to have to do for a short time. Good ass kissing. She is saying this quietly. She's not being very loud about what she's saying, by the way. She's saying this very quietly.
Uh-huh.
I was going to suggest that I greet them in a more Khazdurum way in order to bring a little bit more peace to them, especially with this whole ship full of soldiers. But you're right, it would probably not go over very well.
In this case, we are here more as observers, in many ways. We are here to make sure that the lines are not crossed, but at the same time, we are here as observers with a little bit more knowledge, so perhaps being there, I don't know if you actually speak their language, but perhaps being there as someone who can help clear any communication problems would be a good idea. We were asked to come to help, and if that is where your skills lie, then it is your turn for the diplomacy. I have never met a Khazdurum. I don't know how to be diplomatic. You know more than we do about them. That's a bonus. And she's going to get up and smile. Remember, you're the only one here that really doesn't see them as a possible threat. I will put it that way.
Well, with what I have seen, I also see them as a possible threat. They are just people after all. But you're right, I do have less bias.
You do. Either way, let's find the others. Find out what they're doing. Let's see if Euan is still greener than he normally is. He didn't look so good. She starts heading towards where Euan was.
Euan is not having a good time. Euan is almost curled into a fetal position, kind of against the back of the ship. I can deal with the ships on the canals, but this open water is a bit rough.
She's gonna kneel down and kind of go into her bag and pull out a few different herbs and stuff like that. So herbalism kit, and see if she can't find something that might settle his, like make him a little tea or something that settles his tummy just a little bit. Like, here, chew on this. It might help.
Go ahead and
I
just
hope it helps.
roll a medicine check.
Okay. Natural 20 for 25.
Yeah, that is very soothing. And that kind of little bit of nauseousness from being on the boat subsides almost immediately.
Thank you for that, little one.
No problem, big one. She smiles.
Euan also giggles a little bit, sits up, and kind of stretches out a little bit on the ship. Still not really wanting to stand, not really trusting his legs. That feels much better.
Good. We have maybe a short time more before we get there. Maybe we should find Maldorwen and kind of, I don't know, talk about what we're going to do when we get to the beach. I am sure that we will be told what to do, but we should probably also have an idea of what we should do when we are there.
A contingency is not a bad idea.
I mean, we do it at the same time that we do what we're being told to do.
Got you. Gotcha.
Little things like that. Make sure that everything is good. Let's go find Maldorwen.
All right.
Euan stands up, shakily, takes a couple of steps, wobbles a little bit, steadies himself with his halberd. And I think I'm good to go. Oh, I hope so. And we'll follow.
All right. As you all kind of go down to meet up with Maldorwen, who continues to talk about Malvis, Captain. We're going to go ahead and take our intermission here right before we arrive at the Khazdurim beach. This large galleon is sailing closer and closer to the Khazdurim campsite, where recently, or at least it's been a few days now since our characters have been here. So we'll have to see what has changed and how this encounter will go. So as the ship draws closer and closer towards the shoreline, the horizon line getting more and more filled with the sporadic rocks that make up the beach. And you swear some of those rocks are moving, but it's hard to see from this distance. But you know from previous encounters, they might not all be just rocks. Luckily, you're making a decent way towards the actual campsite. You're just going directly there rather than anchoring several, like a good mile beforehand. As you do get closer, Calorith kind of calls everyone to attention at the middle of the ship here.
So, we have been tasked to ascertain which Khazdurim are plotting against the city and which aren't. It will be our duty to go in there and find this knowledge out. We have certain magics, he kind of looks towards Rock and some of the other Storm Wardens, that have the capability to discern truth from lies. These will be impeccable to our mission. However, we might be met with quite the resistance, in which we should be prepared for. I'm not sure if all of you have encountered Khazdurim in the past, but I can tell you from experience, they are quite the fighters. I hope nothing comes to too much bloodshed, but I'd be prepared nonetheless. We will go in with intentions as to find these individuals. However, if they all are very defensive themselves, that in itself will be a telling sign that they are working together. He kind of looks towards your group. What do you bring to the table here? Are you able to use magic as such of this discerning truth?
I do not have any such magic, but I do know that I would be intimidated by a ship full of soldiers coming up. I am familiar with some of their customs and may be able to help smooth out the interaction between.
We will need to make a perimeter, first things first, as to prevent any escapees. We do not want the threats to go between our fingers. And kind of looks towards two other Storm Wardens. That will be your task. And these Storm Wardens he's looking towards are quite burly with pretty ornamented armor. Probably quite high ranking. You have dealt with them before. We will give you the opportunity to deal with them again. Let them know of what position they are in. And hopefully they will be amicable to our search. We will be right behind you, though. And if things go poorly, we will step in.
I only hope it doesn't come to that.
Kind of gives a subtle nod. I do need to know, though, if it does come to that you will not be fighting against us.
If the Khazdorim combat this, and they begin the quarrel, I have no qualms about fighting against them. But I will not aid in needless bloodshed.
I also will not aid in needless bloodshed. And at the very worst, I will aid neither side. But whichever's... If the Khazdorim are aggressors, then I will be willing to help protect.
And I say that as someone who also has every reason to hate the Khazdorim. And he'll kind of just pull the front of his top aside to just let the scar be a little bit more pronounced on his chest.
Right. He kind of looks towards US, yeah?
She meets his eyes and stares back in. My hands are not as skilled as yours with weapons, but they are with healing. If it comes to that, then no. You and your men have my skills behind them to ensure that they return to their families at night.
Gives a nod. I'm glad to hear. I do hope we can do this without causing needless bloodshed. But I fear the worst.
I just have a question. Is there anyone else on this ship that can speak Khazdorim?
He kind of motions to some of the guards. One kind of steps out. If needs be, I can cast a spell to allow any conversation to be had.
But I want to greet them in a traditional greeting of peace, which involves speaking in Khazdorim. And I just want to make sure that I am not misunderstood as giving out signals as a spy. So if there is someone here that can confirm that all I am saying is in greeting,
I think
I
it
would-
would be best if you spoke in common.
oh, I intend to speak everything in common except for this initial greeting. It is traditional. It is what is said normally when coming in peace or intention of peace. And I think it will do a lot if I speak at least those words in Kazura.
Go ahead and roll a persuasion check.
It's a 7.
I apologize, but I don't think I can allow that.
Okay, well then I guess I will still do the greeting, but I will do it in common.
They came
The end.
here fully expecting to talk with us, if they are merely traders.
DM, I tried to ask if I could give him advantage in any way, but my microphone was muted.
Oh no, muted microphone. How would you go about giving him advantage in this?
Simply by vouching and saying that I would agree that if we are trying to do this mission in the, at least in the image of peace, I also agree that it would go a long way to give them a familiar greeting to let them know that we are willing to parley and discuss, rather than just jump to the extreme measures.
Okay, go ahead and roll with advantage, Rhukkarrak.
Roll one more. Probably not going to be much better, but
One more.
we'll try it.
We can hope.
14.
14 is definitely better, but
Twice as good, literally.
twice as good.
True.
We'll rewind a bit. I hope you understand that I don't fully trust you. I will allow this parley, but I expect to be able to understand it. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Oh, that is... Yes, it... like I said, I was pretty sure that you'd want it to be mostly in common, but I was hoping to give them at least this small assurance, but I understand.
And he gives a nod. And very well. Get prepared. We have but a few moments before we dock. And you can see a lot of the soldiers start to very orderly and go out and get ready. Do any of you want to make any last preparations?
I don't. I don't think so. I don't think I have anything else that I could really worry about.
Alright.
Asja is going to do the same thing she did in the council chamber, using prestidigitation to create the mark and the kind of chain that hangs in her hair type deal, just to kind of give that little bit air of maybe she's somebody type deal.
Okay.
So, and very clearly represents, you know, like there's a symbol of Alamor and there's a symbol of something else. So obviously, you know, don't be afraid. We come in peace, or at least I do.
Oh, Asja, would you mind cleaning me up a bit as well?
No problem. And she'll do prestidigitation on Ruka, and she'll walk over to Euan and do the same. And no, Mal's still looking good. All right.
Thank you.
No problem. Best foot forward.
I will be right behind you all. I wish you good luck in this parley. Hope you all can persuade them to eat the words, because they are defensible. Will not end well. For them, that is.
For any of us.
For any of us.
And with that, you see that you get closer and closer. You can now see from the ship here the Kazdorm campsite. There is some motion happening. You see the two wardens that Calorith pointed to earlier fly off with a gust of wind, carrying them up into the air. They fly up and over to make a perimeter here. As you get closer, you do see the other vessels. There are two other ships that are docked here. There's not a proper dock for them. They're a little bit further out in the water. And as such, you all can't get incredibly close either, as the shore is not super deep on this part of the landscape. You do notice that the ships there don't have any sails, and they're quite different in design and make than the current ship that you're traveling on. But you do see a little bit of bustling from the Kazdorm. As you can imagine, they're probably thinking, what the heck is going on? But little ferry boat is unmoored from the actual main ship here to ferry you into the actual beach. As Calorith kind of, alright, good luck, we'll be right behind you.
Okay. I guess this is where Rhukkarrak takes point again. Really need to not get into these kinds of situations. And he'll head out and just kind of...
Is Rhukkarrak the only one going?
No.
No. We're all going. But at least I'm going. I can't speak for everyone, but...
Yeah, the captain was going to join too.
People... Yeah, as people start walking forward, one thing that anybody might notice is that Asja starts to walk and then kind of stops for a moment. Almost just like a brief second where it's almost something's holding her back, and then she just kind of closes her eyes and takes a deep breath and starts walking again, but maybe not as quickly as she normally does, as if she's perhaps a bit afraid about what's about to happen, or what she's about to see or meet on the beach.
Okay. As the five of you get in this smaller vessel and go forward, those tension, that nervousness kind of builds up to a climax as you then land on the beach. You do see two armored Kazdorm, but not, yet again, super, definitely not in full plate like most of the Storm Wardens are. Or ragtag put together. Still fairly defensible, but nothing super warrior-like. They start to march down to meet you guys. As one of them calls out, "Hey, what's going on? Welcome to our camp. Can we help you all?"
Yes, caverns deep, my friends, as he gives a traditional greeting. We come bearing some unfortunate news. There was problems in the city that have been traced to Kazdorm, and the Storm Wardens here are trying to find those responsible.
I see that. We haven't entered the city.
we would like to confirm that. If you will all be very amicable and answer the questions truthfully, then we can hopefully take care of this painlessly and be on our way.
The other one. You were the one that came a few days back, right?
Yes, and I do not wish harm upon anyone here, which is why I am trying to be the mouthpiece of this investigation.
What all are we being blamed for? See the other one. We shouldn't have come. Again.
There was some violence in the city, and some Khazdurim were spotted. We do not know the exact details. And there was even some potential illusion involved, which is why we are here to confirm and not to attack. And I'm hoping that both sides, are the Storm Wardens anywhere nearby?
They're still on the ship. Like, you do see that there's a couple in boats, other ferries that are probably like 50 to 100 feet away, but not right next to you. You have a brief space in between.
Okay. He just wanted to give them a look, but if they're not really in look range, he's not going to bother. But I hope that both sides can be amicable and make it pave the way for potential future trade, especially if there is nothing for you to hide here, then it will do well for future trade, if it is at all possible.
Go ahead and roll persuasion again. Another persuasion. All the persuasion tonight.
Do I get advantage for the the greeting and or knowing them from before?
We'll say that lowered the DC.
Okay.
That's fair.
That is very fair. Another 7. Are you kidding me?
Good roll.
This is why Asja should be saying these things.
You wanted to give Gracie. Perhaps we could get off the ferry and come and discuss this face to face with perhaps who is more in charge of the camp. As my friend was saying here, we do come in diplomacy. We are here for parley, hopefully to make sure that what needs to happen to ensure good communication between all sides goes smoothly and there are no misunderstandings on anybody's parts.
They just look incredibly nervous. And are like looking, staring glances back towards each other. If the answer to coming to the city is no, we can just leave. We'll just pack up and get going.
Unfortunately, my friends, because of this incident, you just leaving will make it look like you are at fault. And I truly wish that this does not lead to a war.
We are doing everything we can to try to prevent bloodshed.
All right.
Just allow us to come in and speak to those that are more in charge of your camp.
Do you have any securities? I hope you understand our worry in this regard.
We do.
What are they?
What would you like us to offer as securities? What would put your mind at ease?
At least your word that no harm will come to us? The other one's like, I guess.
Rhukkarrak's gonna look at Asja and Maldorwen and Euan. And then he's going to go out and, as long as we are, we promise that as long as there is no hostility from your side, there will be no hostility from our side.
I kind of just start nodding a bit. Oh, alright. It's just you coming in to begin with?
The captain's with us, correct?
Yeah.
For now, I believe it's just us.
We are trying to establish initial terms.
Very well. We'll go alert who's in charge here. Say what you've said. Follow us. As one of them starts to rush off a little quicker than the other one who's guiding you. As you all start to walk in to, and it's quite the different scene than what you remember, Rhukkarrak, as there is very much tension in the airs here. You do not see any children playing. You actually don't see a whole lot of Khazad-dûm at all. Other than these two, there's a couple other that are kind of peeking out from different tents. As you are kind of chauffeured back past some of these tents, you pass a fire that has some sort of stew bubbling on it. You faintly smell the scent of quake shell. But back to a larger tent in the back, where the one guard ran off to begin with. As you all can just, no insight check required, tell just the nervousness, the anxiety that kind of fills these Khazad-dûm that are guiding you. Not sure what is to come. But they're guiding you to what you requested. As you approach the main tent there in the center, the one other guard kind of steps out, kind of gives a little nod. The other guard takes a big sigh of relief almost. As then stepping out from the tent there is another Khazad-dûm individual, much older than the other ones. Their beard is quite luxurious, for sure. It almost hangs down to like their knees, and it's where it's super well braided with different gemstones woven into it. As this individual, not in any armor, but fancier clothing for sure, steps out and kind of looks towards you all, and you can once again see a little bit of
hesitation and nervousness on their face as well. But they hide it a little bit better than these other guards, who are quite a bit younger from this individual.
So, you've come to trade? I don't think so.
Unfortunately not. Well, actually, if everything goes well here, I would like to purchase as much of your wares as I can. But unfortunately, there was a incident in the city. It involves Kazurum. And
I can assure you, none of us have entered the city. We barely leave this campsite in search for food.
I believe you. But unfortunately, it is the Storm Wardens that need to believe you. And I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
I was just going to ask if I could roll an insight check on the comment about not really leaving to find food.
Yeah, go ahead and roll insight.
16.
16, okay. The old kind of wrinkles in this Kazurum's face are quite stalwart. And you can definitely pick up on the apprehension and nervousness therein. But you don't get the sense that they're like blatantly lying.
Gotcha. Thank you.
The wardens would like to question your people under a zone of truth. And if there is nothing to be found, then you will not be harmed. If there are spies or nefarious people in your group, only they will be dealt with. That is what the Storm Wardens have told us. I am here as a familiar face to try and get favorable terms between the two parties.
Your roll just now was a 16, correct, Euan?
Correct.
So as Rhukkarrak says, if there's any spies, you do see something kind of cross this individual's face. Very, very subtle. You're not sure what it could be, but it's something.
I will take a mental note of that. And desperately wish I had the message cantrip, which I don't. But I will take a mental note of that to pass it to the others when I get the chance.
But now that the initial introductions are made, I know that Asja here is much better at more political terms, and will probably be able to create a better deal.
This time it's Asja's turn to shoot a look at Ruka. Yes, it would probably be best if you and I perhaps sat and discussed what would make you feel more safe for this process to happen. You will understand that with our histories and with what has happened in the city, all actions must be taken place to ensure that history does not repeat itself so soon. We are here to ensure that this is smooth and peaceful, and no harm will come to your people. I do truly hope that we do not find anyone in your people, and you can prove many of us wrong. But unfortunately, with the building that was targeted last night, tensions are now very high. I hope you can understand.
All right, Asja, go ahead and roll your persuasion check now.
Oh, God.
Oh, snap!
That might be the best nat 20 of the game so far.
Nat 20. Oh my goodness. You do see the nervousness die down just a little bit as this burly individual kind of gives a stout little nod. Very well. We do not have anything to hide. I am not sure exactly what this process will entail. And I plead that it does not come to anything untoward. We were here simply as traders.
Well, perhaps it was still too soon. Maybe next time, send note ahead of time. Either way, you see just a moment of hesitation as like she'll be lifting up her hand. You see a moment of hesitation, and then you see her extend her hand. My name is Asja Rhukkarrak. It is a pleasure to meet you. Your name is?
Kind of looks a little wary in your hand, but then, without much hesitation, walks up and grasps it pretty firmly. That's the deep stone. I wish our meeting was on better hands. But alas, I understand. At least partially. What would you have us do here? How can we prove our innocence?
Well, as was mentioned, the Storm Wardens do have some people that are able to create an area where lies are not easily spoken. And if they are, generally the person can get a, feeling if someone is being untruthful. The Storm Wardens wish to come in, set up this zone and ask the people here certain questions that will help them know whether the truth is being spoken or not.
And how do we know that your wardens will not lie and say that we are lying?
Do you have any amongst yourselves that can do this truth spell?
I am unfamiliar with such arcane.
We were paid by the council to come here and help negotiate this meeting. It is my hope and understanding that because this is a direct order from the council, that the Storm Wardens would not do anything to jeopardize their position within.
We will also be here to observe and report back if there is anything untoward.
Kind of looks towards the other guards who were just like standing there in thought.
Very well, we will see to this. We do not have anything to hide.
Well,
Thank you so much for your cooperation. I know this is not what any of us want.
DM, I do have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
When the spell was used on Asja and myself, we were able to tell that the spell was being cast, and we were able to allow the spell to happen, correct? We were able to, like, physically identify that?
Correct. Yeah, when Gronk cast this on you previously, you weren't sure of the nature of it at the time, but you felt a presence kind of come over you that you could either try to reject or accept.
Then I will turn to the, I'll say Mr. Deepstone, because I didn't catch the first name. When the spell is cast, I would highly recommend letting the spell happen. Don't try to fight it. I am concerned that trying to fight against the nature of the spell could tip the balance against you. And as I have said before, and as we have all echoed, the one thing that none of us here want is needless bloodshed.
Just kind of nods.
Very well. Bring whoever has this spell. I will vouch that we are not in the city. We do not have ill intentions. We simply seek to better each other.
Let us go report back, and we will return.
And gives a nod.
Get up.
As the one of the guards kind of starts to walk with you again outside. You, like Maldorwen, you got the highest passive perception. And just on your way back, you do see one of the tent flaps kind of open a little bit, and you see a younger Khazdurim eyes kind of looking out before something inside kind of grabs them. Tent flap closes. You all then depart from this as there's 3 other fairies that now have brought a fair amount of the force onto the beach here. Calorith included.
Does the Khazdurim guard that's with us ever leave our side? Or does he escort us all the way down to the beach?
He starts to, and then seeing the force in front of him there, he kind of just stands in like a salute position almost.
Right.
And then lets you progress forward. Probably about a good 50-ish feet in between.
Then when we are away from him and not quite to the storm wardens, Euan will mutter quietly to the rest of the group, I hope this bodes well. There was a look of some kind that crossed his face when spies were mentioned. I don't know what it means, but it is worth note. and I wanted to let you all know.
A little bit of concern will cross Rhukkarrak's face, but he'll say nothing.
Well, we will keep our eyes open for things then.
I hope for all our sakes this goes well.
So, what is it to be?
The, I guess, lead merchant of the camp has very much agreed to allow you and the others to come in and Zone of Truth to show that, at least from his understanding, they have nothing to hide in their camp. They wish to work with you to ensure that needless violence or misunderstandings are not what they're looking for.
They did have some concern about you being able to see if they tell lies, but they will not be able to tell if you have say lies. But I trust in your honor.
As do I.
Very well. Let us get moving then. And motions to the other Formordans as they start to march forward. He looks towards the Khazad-dûm guard there, and his eyes just kind of squint a little bit, like a scowl crosses his face.
Rhukkarrak will just spend the time, he's going to follow them back in and just spend the time walking around the camp, keeping an eye on all of the things, checking to see if there's anything suspicious from either side going on.
All right.
Because Asja's already sort of built up a little bit of a rapport with the leader person, she is just going to falling into walking pretty much close to Calorith. If that's where he's headed, is into the camp, she will kind of position herself to be close to him.
Okay.
To keep an eye on him, but also to kind of, she's the one that's already kind of gotten the rapport with the guy. So maybe her presence there and her aura being there will help alleviate some of the tensions that might rise up with Mr. Scally Pants coming into the camp.
Mr. Scally Pants.
All right. Maldorwen, what have you been up to?
Well, I saw the children there, and I guess I will just be looking around, especially, I don't know, maybe seeing how the captain is holding up. Like, how is she looking?
She definitely... Go ahead and roll insight for me.
Okay, sure. Insights.
Oh.
That's
Eight's
too
still
much
not
going on.
terrible, but natural 2 is rough. Yeah. You can tell that with just seeing the Khazad-dûm and being this close to them, it is bringing up memories from the past of the last time you encountered them this close. And it was on a much different playing field where they were nothing but enemies. And it's hard to take those feelings, those thoughts, those memories, that pain, and hide that. And you can see that within the captain as well. She's definitely probably recalling some similar memories as to yourself in this moment.
Right. So yeah, I guess I'll just be looking around, trying to make sure, like, nothing perhaps catches us off guard.
Okay.
So yeah, and I'll just remain silent. Maybe looking at the captain and giving her a nod. But yes, vigilant is what I'll be.
Okay. You go ahead and roll a perception check. Rhukkarrak, I'll have you roll an investigation check. And then Euan, are you doing anything in particular during this time?
Euan is quite... He's not uneasy in all of this. He's just... worried that the worst might happen. And so I think that he is also going to take the time to look around, be vigilant, pay attention, and try to make sure that there's no ill goings on from either side. And the look that that he had when the spies were mentioned, I think, is also going to make him take additional time to look for anything that might give an explanation to the look that crossed Mr. Deepstone's face.
Okay. I'll let you roll either another insight to just generate, or generally the populace here, or a perception check just to kind of get the broader scope, depending on what you would like.
Can I guide myself
Perception.
for my perception check?
How do you do
Okay.
so?
That's pretty good.
That one is very good.
I will recall the light of Alamor that was shining through her eyes at the council chambers and say, conflict watched over us, and I guess roll with guidance.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Oof.
I thought my rolls were gonna be better this year,
Oh,
but
no.
apparently not.
Rip.
You
size
forgot to
large.
cleanse your cyber dice.
Okay, 12 for
12
me.
still isn't terrible. What we'll say
Rhukkarrak got a
here.
5. Just so you know.
Rhukkarrak, you are more engaged with everything going on. It's hard to focus on one thing. You don't pick up anything in particular. Euan, as you're kind of walking in and just paying the utmost attention to everything, it's almost as if you're walking in slow motion, as your heart kind of thumps, as you can almost feel the tension tangible within the air. And that look, it worries you that this... You don't have good faith that this is going to go well. At all.
Nope, not at all.
And you just start to have those instinctual kind of awareness overtake you as you start to glance at everything, looking at all your surroundings, making sure you know what is and what isn't a danger within your vicinity. I'll say you briefly pick up on some sort of one of the tents that's not in the middle of this campsite, not where you've been walking through, but just off in the distance. You do see one of the tents that has a small little, it almost looks like a smudge on part of it. And you kind of hone in on that. And with you kind of staring intently at that, Maldorwen, you glance up to see what Euan's looking at. And you look at this too, where his eyes are glancing. And you recognize something very similar to what you saw on a billboard of the drifting hole.
The Dark Sun?
Something of the similar like, yes.
Okay. Oh, crap.
And if you didn't know what you were looking for, you almost mistake it for just a smudge of dirt on the tent. But there's a little too much there that you're like, wait a minute. And sure enough, it's very similar to what you saw on the previous night.
Okay, I think I'll look at Euan kind of nodding towards the thing we're both looking at, and then at him, and kind of also wait for his cue, see what he does.
Not quite being able to tell what it is, he kind of squints his eyes a little bit and tries to really sort of focus in on the smudge. Does that seem off to you?
Yes. Perhaps they are not alone.
Perhaps we should have Rhukkarrak go investigate.
I'll nod.
Around this time, go ahead.
I was gonna say, where is Rhukkarrak walking in amongst all of us, or are you just kind of out and about scouting?
I mean, he's going to the various investigation stations, just kind of moving between them.
Investigation station.
Yeah. Questioning stations. Because you said that there's
Like
multiple that have the zone of truth. So wherever that's at, he's trying to make sure that the investigators are not.
Right, which that hasn't
They're
begun yet. You still are walking through. This is all happening as you're
okay.
walking towards. Like Hallerith is just reaching the furthest back tent where Rashtar.
Okay, then I guess
is
I'm just walking amongst the group at the moment.
Then Euan would kind of over to Rhukkarrak to try to get his attention and just very casually point over at the smudge to point it out to him.
Go ahead and make a sleight of hand check for me. To see if you can do so casually. It's right there.
Oh, yep.
Oh no!
Literally is just right there. Oh.
So I have heroic inspiration.
You do. Would you like to use it for this roll?
Yes, please.
Okay.
It's so much that Euan lost his accent.
Go ahead and reroll. There you
Oh,
go.
gosh.
Wait, that was a stealth check instead of that. So it's just a 17.
No.
Actually, no, it's a 16. But we'll still take the roll. 16 is much, much better than a
I
0.
Hold on, because my stealth. All right, yeah. Yeah, it's 16.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yeah, with that, you subtly kind of get Rhukkarrak's attention, and then point out this when Rhukkarrak, you are able to see what he's pointing out. And yeah, you do recognize it in this a couple of times in various different places. Travels. And it's very odd seeing it here. As far as you knew, the organization here worked primarily just within the Sunspire. And you knew nothing of it before you came down here.
Rhukkarrak, just like, if he could get paler, he would be paler.
White as a ghost.
Yeah, no, he doesn't actually get any paler, but anyway. But it has that look on his face like, oh no, what do we do now?
Try to get over there when you can. And I think in kind of this moment as well, like the normal kind of stoic, laid back Euan that has just kind of been in the room with you guys for a large part of this feels like very carefree. Not really carefree, but doesn't really care much about what's going on because he feels like he has other things to do. There is an intense focus in his eyes as Euan the Traveler is sort of shunted away by Euan the Soldier. So the look that you get is very intense with narrowed, almost cat-like slitted eyes as this conversation is going on.
Rhukkarrak is going to try and get closer to Gronk.
Okay. Gronk is one of the soldiers, or wardens here, that is stepping forward. Around this time, too, as this is all happening, Calorth does manage to get up towards the main central figure here. As that conversation starts to begin. And
As they get there, Asja will take the opportunity to introduce the both of them and, make sure that the Kesdurum understands Calorith's full title and everything. So she'll make sure to puff up his chest, but at the same time, she kind of continues to work a bit as the negotiator in between the two, at least for introduction sakes.
Okay, just go ahead and roll the general...
Seeing as she knows his name, so, she figured, there we go.
Yeah, go ahead and just roll the general charisma check to try to ease some of the tension here.
Okay. 13. Not too bad.
13's not bad.
Seeing
All
as
right.
she's a bit nervous herself, so
Yeah.
it's not too bad.
And you can see the Khazarm are definitely very nervous. You do not really see that on Calorith's face, though. His face is more filled with determination and maybe a hint of anger. But he does allow you to introduce him as he then nods towards Rashtar. So, it is time for your people, all of them, to face the truth. You should know that if we do find anything untoward, we will not be lenient. The incursions upon our city were... well, they cannot happen again. As Rashtar nods. Very well. I assure you, we do not have anything to hide. We will do as you say. I do just ask that you be lenient with us that are truthful. We do not mean any ill intent. And Calorith comes back. We will see about that. And then he'll say, gather your people. We'll start the questioning. As then, at that point, you can just see the nervousness on Rashtar's face. And he starts to call out as the tents start to open and very nervous Khazdurum start to form different groups as the Storm Wardens start to make these different investigation stations. As Rhukkarrak put it. But while that's happening, Rhukkarrak, you kind of saunter over to Gronk, who is starting
Does
to...
anyone come out of the marked tent?
Not immediately, no.
Okay. So then, Rhukkarrak will just go over to Gronk and just kind of under his breath. That tent over there, it has a mark that I saw in the city.
Is that so? He kind of looks over to it. Oh yeah, that's the same. The one on the letter.
The letter? The one that was
Kinda
given
looks-
to...
Yeah, to
Calrath?
Calrath. Right. We should probably check that out.
If this is the problem that we are having, then I know where to find the problem within the city as well.
Right.
And then yeah, he's gonna, I guess, go with Detective Gronk over to that tent.
Yeah, I'll start walking with you over to it.
If anyone else wants to join, like, he's gonna glance at the rest of to Maldorwen and Euan. Like, are you coming too?
Euan will go.
Yeah, I'll be right behind. Also, kind of pulling the captain with me if I can, and
Okay.
gesturing towards Asja. Like, we're gonna look at something over there, like pointing at my eyes and then pointing at the tent.
All right. As a large portion of you start to break off and head towards this tent, which is not in the middle of the campsite. It's actually one of the bordering words. Outskirts
There you
tent.
go.
I got it. Yes. Calrath turns around. Detective, did you find something? And Gronk just steps in place.
We may have. We will let you know as soon as we have something.
There's something we're looking into. Calrath comes back. Very well. The rest of you, make sure the tents are empty. Make sure this is all who live here currently. As a couple more of the Storm Wardens start to march out towards the other tents and search them as well.
At this time when people are being marched out and stuff like that, and now obviously the children are out as well.
Mhm. Which
Asja
there's
is
not
very-
like an abundant amount of children, but
No,
there's
but there is still
good-
some.
4 or 5 out of the like 30 individuals here.
Yeah, at that point, Asja will turn to Calrath and in a very quiet voice, making direct, like, eye contact to eye contact with him. They are not illusions. Do not let your heart be the thing that guides you.
I'm gonna ask for another persuasion. All the persuasions, Nine.
Everybody pray to Alamor.
If I could give you my inspiration, I would.
I know.
Please,
Okay.
Alamor, I beg you.
No, that's an 11. No, that's a 14. That's
14.
not that bad.
14's not that
That's
bad.
not that bad. I'll take it.
You do see that as, especially some of the younger children, you're not exactly sure the lifespan of Kazdorm. Something, a knowledge you're not super keen with. But they definitely don't look super old. Some of them have shaggy, like, patchy little beards. Some of them have no hair at all on their chins yet. But yeah, they are incredibly worried. All of them kind of clinging to their parents. What you assume would be their parents, as they are all kind of put into little groups to then be questioned quite thoroughly. You do see Calrath is a little taken back by the children, but there's just... Go ahead and roll an insight check for me.
Okay. 18.
Pretty good. You can see the sternness and this outer shell that you've already kind of been seeing with Calorith. You do just get a glimpse of the man beneath. And there is some deep-set pain in his eyes as he's just in this situation. But he then turns from you and starts to go make sure everything is working. And you do see that they start to cast this spell, and there's 4 different wardens here doing this magic. So 4 different groups. And they start to recite like the same, more or less, words. Basically just, do you have ill intent towards the Sunspire Dominion? What are your intentions with being here? All that kind of stuff. And it's pretty rudimentary to begin with here. Asja, do you break off and head towards this mysterious tent? Or do you stay with...
No, she figures there's enough people going towards that tent. She is keeping an eye on Calorith because in her mind, he is also the other loose cannon in this that could make it or break it kind of deal. So they're looking at the tent, which could be one side of it, and she's keeping an eye on the man in charge who, right now is not quite letting his brain lead him, more his emotions and heart, it would seem. So
silly emotions, what are those, right?
Right? Oh my gosh.
Okay. We'll go over to the group as everyone else is approaching this tent. Grunk kind of steps up towards the exterior of it.
It definitely looks very similar.
He starts to write some notes in his notepad.
Well, let's see.
Is anyone in there? As he calls out.
You don't hear anything back?
Yeah. We are coming in. And he'll open the tent flap.
Alright. As you step into the tent, it's like midday currently, and so Alamore in the sky is actually shining quite bright down on this place, and it's pretty well lit. However, as you step into this tent, it is pitch black. However, you wouldn't quite recognize that, as you were able to see past such darkness. However, Gronk kind of pipes up.
What in the heck? That's weird.
As Rhukkarrak, you were able to see, and this tents aren't very big. Probably, like, it would be pushing it, fitting the, 5 of you in there? So as you kind of enter, Gronk stepping behind and saying more of like, I can't see anything in here. You were able to pick out living, like there's a bedroll, there's some sort of chest to the side, there's a lantern that is unlit. But the rest of you, as you kind of start to walk forward too, you don't see anything in that tent. It looks like the void itself is just in the tent, and it almost slowly starts to billow from the tent flaps itself as it's open now.
Euan will cast Produce Flame just to see if it makes any difference. I doubt it will, but...
Right. As you cast Produce Flame, you feel the warmth in your hand. Yeah, there is no light shed from that fire.
Well, that's a problem.
So, Rhukkarrak being familiar with this kind of thing, is he able to find an object that seems to be emitting this darkness?
Go ahead and just make an Arcana check, because from your perspective, it just looks dark in here. Because even darkness to you is dim light.
Yeah.
Oh my god, another
Natural 20.
Natural 20!
So,
Arcana check? Yes.
yeah, as you do step in here, it takes you a moment to realize, but a very quick moment in that. As you do feel the little bit of a bitter cold that comes with this darkness that is familiar. And it feels natural to you, in a sense. And as you do realize that, it makes you like think, okay, what's this? But you look around in the room, you don't see a source from it currently.
Oh, because he just knows that the darkness spell can be cast on an object. If he doesn't see that, then he's just going to... This is very peculiar. Why would you... This spell does not normally last very long. And he's going to look around the room for any indications of movement as he's going around, trying to see if there was anyone hidden in the tent.
All right.
He's looking for someone either invisible or hiding in the coverings or whatever.
Go ahead and roll investigation.
He's so bad at investigation. He's... Oh, but nobody else can see. Never mind.
Yeah, I would say you could get help from this, but they are blinded currently.
12.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing? Gronk also held his hand up from what you could see, Rhukkarrak. This is weird. Can't say anything.
It would seem the area is covered in magical darkness.
Are the
So a
tents... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, though the spell does not last too long, there's probably someone nearby that cast it.
The tents that are around here, are they all just canvas tents, or are they more of the semi-permanent type things with wooden paneling and whatnot?
They definitely don't seem super structured. No, they are more just canvas. They're relatively well made, but not they've been here for a couple days probably. Probably aren't made to last for an extended period either.
Unless any of you protest, I'm gonna bring the tent down.
That will not change the darkness. And it may even make it easier for whoever, if they are still in here, to get out.
Got it, I'll wait then. In the meantime, I will try to retrace my steps straight back from where I came in to stand out in front of the tent flaps to see if anything runs through or if I can see anything else from the outside of it, because my eyes will be better out here than in there.
Okay. I'll say easy enough. You only got a couple steps in. With the size of this tent, it wouldn't have really fit all of you either. So I'd say even the captain and Maldorwen are kind of standing at the precipice of the tent there as you all entered, and you can easily kind of exit. Bump your head a little bit as you exit, but no big deal.
Bonk. Ow. Then I will just keep eyes on the outside, kind of scanning to see if the tent flips up anywhere where it really shouldn't, or if I can hear anything moving that shouldn't be, etc., etc.
Okay. You can go ahead and make a perception check for me. Maldorwen, what are you doing with this?
That's a natural 1 for a 4.
Oh no. Not another one.
At least this one's not at 0 this time.
That's
The other
true.
one was.
Yeah.
Yeah, Parsnip and Kyron leave some, nat 20s for us as well.
That's funny.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys would roll pretty good on the other two. Yeah, not so good. That's funny. The dice curse has multiplied. Now
I think
it's on
gonna
2
be like
people.
that for the rest of the campaign, so, just dropping in for the experience.
Oh no.
No, I'm just gonna, keep watch. I definitely don't want to go in the tent.
Okay.
Just stand to the side. Maybe I'll start very discreetly loading a bolt in my crossbow, but nothing else.
Okay. The captain kind of follows your notion and holds on tight to her broadsword and ready if anything were to go down. We'll shift back over to the questioning here as more and more of these people are just answering in kind of nervous tones. Oh, I don't have any ill intent. We're just traders. Just come to try to make a better living for ourselves than we had at home. And yeah, you can just hear the fear and nervousness in all their voices as Calorth just kind of walks between the different groups, listening to the words. As then Rashtar is being questioned. And the question comes, do you have any ill intent on Elendor or the Sunspire Dominion? Rashtar kind of takes a breath. No. No, I do not. What were your true intentions in coming here? And at this point, Galeth kind of approaches. From what I know, we're just traders. We heard of the luxury of the great city of Elendor, and the prospect of being able to share our goods in exchange for the valuable goods. You're just traders. And Calorth kind of steps closer and looks towards the Storm Warden who cast the spell, who kind of gives a little nod. Calorth kind of pipes up. And have you been in the Sunspire before? Have you ever harmed an elf? Rashtar kind of looks down a bit. You can see hesitancy. And he doesn't respond. Answer.
That is not why we are here.
Is it not?
No. I am assuming he passed the first 2 questions. She looks at the Storm Warden, who's doing the spell.
Someone just looks at you and looks towards Gallerith like, I don't want to get involved. Gallerith then kind of looks back towards him. Did you fight in the war? He kind of shakes his head a little bit
Not directly. Elaborate. I'm sorry. We were at war. At this point, Calorith goes to draw his sword. Are you doing anything, Asja?
Yes. As he goes to draw his sword, she is going to place her hand down onto his hand and move in front of him between the two of them and just look and go, "Not with your heart."
Alright, go ahead and roll one more persuasion check for me. The DC on this is going to be 20. As there were other failed DCs in the past.
I know. She doesn't want to get stabbed for a Khazdurim, but it's going to happen soon in a minute, I think. Oh. Closing my eyes.
Oh,
21!
snappers!
Oh my god!
Oh!
21.
Oh my gosh!
So as she does this, that kind of aura that came off of her this morning just flows over him for a moment as she's deeply looking into his eyes and her hand is on his.
He just kind of shrugs and pushes you away and then takes a step back. As he just is heavily breathing at this point. As Rashtar is just sitting there, deeply breathing himself. And you can see, he shook. He is done shooken. I do not mean to. As Calorith is just, he starts to just pace back and forth, and quite frustratedly, we'll head back over to the tent here, as Euan, Maldorwen, and the captain are sitting outside. You kind of do see this off in the distance, that tension rising, and a little bit of de-escalation from Asja. Rhukkarrak, what are you doing in the tent? Gronk is sitting there. This is, we gotta report this. This is exactly what we're looking for.
Well, he was doing the investigation. But then, Rhukkarrak is, we haven't found anything yet. Just because someone in their fear cast a darkness spell does not necessarily mean, though the symbol is very suspicious.
I'm sure you know of that symbol. My only worry is they were working with Calorith. What do we even do?
We need... There are other guards. Let's bring some other guards over here.
Can't even see. Let me try to go find. He bumped into part of the side of the tent and...
I mean, Detective
feels his way
Gronk,
towards
he's going to kind of follow him out so they can see each other. But Detective Gronk, I would appreciate your company to vouch for me, as I am unfortunately under suspicion myself. But maybe one of the others can go get some more guards.
All right. Kind of pops his head out of the tent. You guys hear all that? You guys could hear what was coming from the inside there.
Aye, we heard.
Be careful about it. Let's not alert Big Boss guy quite yet. He kind of turns back to Rhukkarrak. Are you able to see in this?
Yes. Growing up in the mountain caves.
Look, what can you find? Gotta be something here. Why is it
So
failed?
far I found nothing. And yeah, he would, like I said, he was doing the investigation. I think it was 12?
12 on the investigation. Okay. Yeah, 12 is good there. Alright, you kind of start feeling the different stuff. The main things in here is there's a bedroll, there's that lantern that's kind of hanging from the top of the tent, there's a chest, and then just kind of other clothes, their living stuff. But the chest is the main thing that kind of sticks out. And as you kind of feel it, it is locked.
Well, he has some skill with locks. So while it's dark, he's gonna try and pick this lock.
Alright. Go ahead and roll a sleight of hand or your thieves' tools with dexterity.
Yeah.
Oh, 15 is what you needed.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
So as you start to... It's been a minute since you had to use these skills, but you were trained quite well with them. Or to feel the different locking mechanisms in here. It's a pretty durable and well-made lock, but it takes you a little bit of time, 30 or so seconds. You almost break the lockpick. You subtly manage to click as the lock itself is unlocked now.
And he will open up and look through.
As you open the chest,
Wait, so
suddenly a massive amount of heat overwhelms you as it explodes. A massive explosion encompasses you as well as Grunk, as well as anybody outside. So that would be Euan, Maldorwen, and the captain. I need you all to roll dexterity saving throws for me. Rhukkarrak, you have disadvantage since you're literally standing on top of the chest that explodes.
Yeah. Darn
That's
it!
a
All the
zero
evidence
for
is
me.
gone! I just know it! Ah!
Like 20 for me.
Captain? The DC on this is 14.
That's a 0 for you, and
Oh no, Euan. Oh no.
Oh,
Second time you roll a 0.
11.
That's so
I
sad.
rolled a disadvantage. So let's see if it's.
11 is still a failure, so...
I was gonna say it's still a failure, but let's see if it's worse. Oh no, okay, it's just 11.
Yeah, if you had advantage, it would have been...
No, I
but
have disadvantage.
unfortunate. Dex save... Or Captain. 3 saves. Alright. Alright. Those of you that fail take 24 points of fire damage. Those of you that exceed take 12.
conveniently, I am resistant to fire damage.
Likely, so you only
Switch.
take 12.
Only take 12, but ouch!
Rhukkarrak's at 8. Did
Yeah.
the Gronk save?
Oh, right, Grunk. Gotta remember the Grunk.
I say, 'cause if Rhukkarrak has any kind of reaction, it would be to put himself between the explosion and Gronk.
Ooh. Grunk did not save. No.
Does
But-
Rhukkarrak have cunning action? Yet?
He
I
does, but that's... Yeah, there was... You unfortunately did not check for traps. This was instantly. As soon as you pried that box open,
Yeah.
a fireball went off. As this erupts, Asja, you immediately hear the explosion, the loud booming of it, as the flames encompass
that tent that your friends and the other members of the Motley Hue went to investigate. Calorith immediately looks over, draws his sword, and says, "I knew it!" And that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
Oh, schnappers.
Yeah.
The trap chest.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No.
Rhukkarrak hasn't had to worry about traps for the last 2 years.
No, incredibly well done with Colm and Calorith, though. That was intense. My heart was pumping so fast for both Calorith and the guy.
Too.
I was like, oh my god. Dungeons are so high. Alrighty, folks. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Hopefully you all enjoyed. And we will be back next week to see where this story picks up and the conflict that ensues.
I'm going to go get therapy after the session.
Right. Alright, well, we will love you all. Have a wonderful rest of your evening, time zone, whatever it is for you, and we will see you next week. Bye!
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.